Hello, everybody. I'm Nishani, Executive Director of the IIT Madras Alumni Association. And thank you so much for being here and joining us on this lovely Sunday evening. At least here in Chennai, it's nice weather. It's been raining since yesterday and it's cooled down a little bit. Today's fireside chat is one of its kind. We have with us a very young, energetic alumnus, Divanshu, who's joined us today. Thank you so much, Divanshu, for your time and your enthusiasm in this event with us. We're looking forward to hearing your journey. We're looking forward to hearing your experiences, and we're also looking forward to hearing your future plans for your company. Divanshu, I'm going to do a quick introduction of Divanshu. Divanshu is a 2019 batch mechanical engineering graduate from IIT Madras, young entrepreneur who is passionate about solving complex problems using first principle thinking. He was one of the only two students to receive both academic and non-academic institute prize while graduating in 2019. His company, Solina's Integrity, which got the Best On-Campus Award in the ET Startup Awards 2022. He is enthusiastic about startups, brand building, and mentoring aspiring student entrepreneurs. Welcome, Divanshu.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Even this fireside chat with Divanshu today, we have our very own Vice President of IIT Madras Alumni Association, Jayapriya Devi, who is an alumnus herself, MBA, graduate from IIT Madras. She's the founder and MD of Creative Learning Solutions. And Mrs. Jayapriya Devi is also the CEO of Codate Services, an edtech firm oriented on educational innovation and child future readiness. She's a mindfulness-based parenting coach and experienced edtech founder and consultant for schools. Welcome, Jayapriya. Thank you so much for thinking about this and bringing Divanshu today to meet all of the alumni globally. Over to you guys now.
Thank you. Thanks, Nishani. Thanks, IIT Madras Alumni Association platform for giving this opportunity to, freewheeling, thinking so many new things. And, as a vice president, I was able to do a lot of things, new things, bring up really interesting people such as Divanshu to the forum and share their ideas, share their insights with all of you. Today, it's a fantastic day for me because I'm here with one of my favorite persons in the whole set of people whom I've mentored, Divanshu and his team. Divanshu is brilliant. I mean, I don't have to say that with all the awards and the list of things you'll see in his LinkedIn, you guys can know it yourself. But then there are a few things which I wanted to ask Divanshu before we go into the fireside chat about his journey into Shark Tank. Okay, we know that Shark Tank actually put him on the map, but there were so many other things which put him on the map even before that. There was this cute little video of yours which we saw about how you think about our campus when you were graduating.
Yes, yes.
So that was something which was really interesting. But before you go into your startup journey, there are multiple arcs in your startup journey. How was it in the campus, Divanshu? What was your journey like in the campus?
I think my journey was quite like happening, to be honest, like especially given the place that I'd come from. I did not have a lot of opportunities in schools, and like till my 10th grade I was in like sort of very low income set of schools, and in 11th and 12th when I'd gone to Delhi to prepare, the schools that I'd seen there with all the extracurricular sports and so on, I was fascinated that I could participate in that, but because I was committed to preparing for this, I couldn't do a lot. So when I'd come to campus and I saw a lot of clubs and everything, I think the first thing that was there in my mind was to make the best use of it. So really, my first year beyond academics was about trying out as many things as possible. It doesn't matter whether I fail, it doesn't matter whether I like suck at it or whatever, but it's just that you go in, you try things out. So I did poetry, I did writing, I did theater, I did sports, anything, like just like go in and say that I want to do it, right? So that's something that I did. And slowly, of course, like it's a funneling mechanism. So after first year, I realized that there are certain things that I wanted to do. So I continued to do that in second year. And one of the key aspects of my work in the second year was, I think this came out to be 2-3 things. One was Avanti. Avanti is a very good mentorship initiative that was there, where we as IT grads would go to JNV Pondicherry and mentor a bunch of kids to prepare them for competitive exams. So that I found a lot of fulfillment from that. And then the second thing that I was doing was eCell. So we had the e-summit, a lot of events to promote entrepreneurship. I think from there, I tried to understand what entrepreneurship means. So second year was also into that. And then we had a couple of robotics and so on, but primarily into sort of non-core till the second year. And yeah, I think so. Just a lot of initiatives that were there. From there only, I got to start my first startup and had a lot of good time in campus, made a lot of good friends and found mentors, seniors, and so on. I think just the fact that I was there with multiple institutions, even I was there with INDR. So was there in the second year as a coordinator, and then third year also informally engaged. So I think the lot of experiences, it was just to gain and understand what I wanted to do. And that made my life at campus very beautiful.
That's great. See, campus life is fantastic. I mean, you have so many things which you could try, and somebody who's coming from a very strict, rigid, structured, discipline background of all the coaching courses which are there, like either Kota or, Salem and Narayana and all that. Coming here and being free itself is like a huge shift in their lifestyle. And there's nobody to say, wake up at this time, do this, do this.
Correct.
So there's no success path which is written. So there are failures which you generally kind of also get to see while you go through, stumble upon all those things and find your path. As you said, you tried a lot of things and then you found your path. Before we're gonna go into all the things which you've done great, what is the one thing where you stumbled and you found some courage to overcome it, and with the help of others, by talking to others and all that? Is there some story like that which you would love to share with us?
I think in everybody's life, it would be there. And I think for me, it happened in the third year. But I think before I go to the story, one important thing is to call out is how you leverage the peer network, right? What happens is when we come inside IIT, especially everybody comes thinking that they are the best of the best. But when you come into the campus, you realize that you are among the best of the best, which means that there are good people beyond you as well, right? Now, this is something that we need to understand how to handle this, because what happens is there's so much competitiveness and peer pressure that comes because of it. It becomes very challenging for you to like sort of take sides and think about failures that would happen. So I think one of the things that needs to be there very well is the leveraging this peer ecosystem and support from the professors, teachers, and everybody, because that is the very contained ecosystem that we live in. And I was quite fortunate that I had like sort of friends who were actually seeing what I was doing. And even though I wouldn't say certain things about how I was low at various point in time, they would come in and say, "Aaj ki chai pe chalna hai kya? Ya fir, let's go and have a conversation." So that is something that becomes really, really important. Coming to my specific aspect, I think, especially at a point when I was running my first organization, which was involved, and I had the academics. So third year is the time when our academics really shoot up. Like we have all the core courses coming in and so on. I was seeing that I had taken up a lot of courses and I was not able to manage them. And there was this, Involve was also not doing that well because we had started it up and realized that a couple of schools that we had taken up had not worked out well. So we didn't have money to pay to the early team members. And I really didn't know what to do because like 8 to 2, I would do college, 2 to 6, 7, I was trying to work on Involve. And then I was also doing some tuitions to pay for the running expenses of Involve. And I would really see my wingmates only at like 11 o'clock in the night, 12 o'clock in the night. And I was seeing that my exams are not going well. So that really was a difficult time because you don't really know where you're headed. Your cats are struggling. And as a student, I always wanted to do well in exams. So I could see that I was struggling at it. And then there was like startup that was not doing well. What helped me at that point was, of course, talking to my parents. That is something that we have. That's something that I've been very sort of, privileged to have. Like I called my dad and said that this is something that is not really like I don't feel good about it. And he just said that you do whatever you are okay with. Don't worry about the outcomes. If you think that this one is only working out for you, you do this much. Whether you get a good GPA, not a good GPA, Involve succeed, doesn't succeed, it doesn't matter, right? So that was one thing. Second was the support of the peer group. I think that is really, really something that helped because again, parents are sitting far off, right? So wingmates who were there, I remember that whenever I would have a tough day at like or school, college, or Involve, I would just go into either Paul's room or we have 7, 8 friends who were there. I would go into Nandu's room and we would just chill out. We'll just talk about what has happened to the day. they would understand that things are not okay. And so we're just like trying to have a good time. And that was really helpful. Like, I think for me, it didn't come to a point where I would need professional help. And I was really sort of glad that it didn't. But for a lot of people, if it comes to that, I think there would be a support system that should be there available in the ecosystem that makes it easier and accessible for people to do it. Because if it becomes like a big thing, then students who are very new who think that, oh, why am I the only one who is struggling with it? So that shouldn't be the case. It should become very normal that people need help, because the kind of ecosystem that we live in, it's quite competitive and pressure based. So if you don't have these things normalized, it would become very difficult.
True. Yeah, so I think in the last few years, IIT Madras and IIT Madras Alumni Association has been taking some really good steps to connect with students and to help them out as much as possible. In an ecosystem as large as IIT Madras, where there are so many people, so many other variant sets of people who are not students, also who are mingling with them. It'll be nice for even the peer group to keep an eye out for each other and to see how the other person is doing and if there are any red flags and all that. So there are some really nice courses also which has come up. Karthik and a few other people have launched happiness course and a few other courses which actually brings in that kind of an emotional stability and sensitivity in students. So that was really nice and insightful from whatever you've said and shared. I think that's something which we would want to play out for all the students out there as well. Talk to others, talk to your peers. Always sometimes, going out of your shell of you want to close down and then you just want to think about it from that state to actually talking to somebody else, even if not parents or, relatives, maybe some, friend or even a faculty sometimes might actually help. So that was good. But you also told that, a couple of your startups. So I'm interested in that bit. Running one startup itself is a big deal. And I know from Nirman, which is a pre-incubation center at IIT Madras, that you started Involve. Involve again was something to do with EdTech. And then a few years later, when you got awarded for your project, you started Solinas Integrity. Before we go into what those are, I want to know what is the deal with the names? Why? How do you choose the names? Involve, Integrity, Solinas, and all that. Can you just throw some light on what thought process you have for that?
I think with Involve, it just came out very organically, because what we're trying to do was create an ecosystem of learning where students could come together and learn. A pedagogical system where it is not just instructional, but it is more collaborative, right? So we were using this while we were explaining, and then we thought that the right name would be Involve. So that is how it came on. Solace really was the creation of my professor, Professor Dr. Prabhu Rajgopal. He's good with fancy names. He looks like, and he's really good at it. So sometimes when we struggle with some things, like we just go to him. So Solace essentially means pipeline in, I think, Greek or some language. And integrity means like keeping the integrity of that. So when we were starting with that, it was really about asset integrity. Like, how do we keep the integrity of these assets well through the technologies that we're developing, so that they will be long lasting, they can be maintained well. And I think it was really a good name, because it catches your eye, it keeps a meaning. So I think that's how both the names come in.
That's great. And so a quick this thing about what is Involve and how it is doing now.
Sure. So Involve was something that I started in sophomore year of my college, like just the end of the sophomore year, with my co-founder Samyak Jain. And he's again from IIT Madras, 2019 batch. What we were doing was taking inspiration from a lot of work that we did at Avanti. The idea was to create an ecosystem of learning in students, where senior students could teach their juniors. They could clear their doubts. They could create a support ecosystem as mentors, as peer group, and so on. So that learning is not just independent facilitation based, it's more collaborative, peer led. And we have seen a lot of success stories of that. Our job is just to facilitate that whole environment, create collaterals and processes like content, training, deliverables, and so on. And I think students are smart enough and like responsible enough to do their wonders. And we've seen many of that. As of today, we have worked with about 25,000 students. We are present in about 4 states, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Our focus post-COVID shifted to a complete non-profit model. Earlier, we were doing a mix of both. But post-COVID, when the affordable private schools took a hit, we shifted to a complete non-profit model, working with public schools and poorest of the poor students. So in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, we work with the one of the most difficult tribal districts that is there in the country, and like there will be non-motorable roads and so on. And there we're trying to get students to think about agency and the concept of how they can do things differently if they take the ownership of their learning. And it has been wonderful, because I think agency may look different to different strata of people, but ultimately one thing that remains common is the purpose of education, which is to take their ownership and deliver something. So for their places, it could mean that they are looking at a vocational training just after 10th grade. For a kid in Bangalore, it would look like going for higher studies, whatever it could be, but it's ultimately their decision. And things have been really good. We have seen a lot of initiatives coming out of students, and we believe that we're able to bring a policy level change in making learning more collaborative rather than instructional in nature. Even like National Education Policy of 2020 talks about peer-based learning, and we had done a lot of sort of advocacy towards that, and we continue to do it. And we hope that there are states who are willing to adopt and bring peer-based classrooms within the school ecosystem. That's what we're doing.
Great. That's a fantastic initiative. And I'm really happy to see that it is evolving, and it is actually reaching out to so many people who are not privileged enough to actually be able to access the kind of education system which we all take for granted.
And just to add to that, I would like to share that like JP ma'am was the first mentor that we got from Nirmal, and a lot of insights for the early development came from her as well. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And I'm really proud of being a part of your first set of mentors. And from there, let's go into the second startup, which is Solinas. And I had always been very interested in the way you are trying to solve a problem, not just the Solinas or the involved problem, but also, generally your problem solving methodology. And this was actually a project which got turned into a company. So can you tell a little bit about the journey before we jump into the Shark Tank pitch?
Sure. So I think one of the things that remained common in all any kind of work that I did was to really understand where the problem was. Like not looking at an incremental setup, but really the first principles of why the problem exists in the first place. What is the causation of that problem, right? So this came out because when I was working on a final year project, I had gone to Dr. Prabhu and said that I want to do something tangible. I don't want to do an abstract research. And then he told me that there's a problem where we are working with the Safai Karamcharis. So there's an organization called Safai Karamchari Andolan to create a robot for cleaning septic tanks because there are a lot of deaths and something. And I said, okay, I'll try it. And very honestly, I was just trying to finish a project. There was no larger ambition or nothing, because I already had involved running in the backside. I and Samyak both had given up our pre-placement offers and like placements to run involved full time. So that we were clear about. So what I wanted to do was just work on it for 3-6 months and close the project and go back to involve. And so in the first 3 months, I did a sort of prototype and I sent, and everybody liked it in the first review meeting that happened as a project. But the real sort of, I think the fortunate or the unfortunate event happened when we presented it to Safai Karamcharis. And then they said that this is a toy. Like they were speaking in Tamil, of course, I couldn't understand that one time. But I could see them laughing. I could see that, oh, what they have prepared. And I think that it took a hit on the ego. They say, how are you saying that what I have created is not good, right? I'm from IIT and all of that. We have all the technology thing. But what they really meant when they said was, yeah, have you seen even a septic tank before? And the reality was that we hadn't, right? So I said, okay, let's go and see. So we actually took a visit to a cleaning of a septic tank at 8 in the night, because legally you're not allowed to do that. So no cameras, nothing. You just go there and see how people do it. And that was something else. And that was something that when we realized that we are making so much technological advancements in the country, how is it that we are not able to take a chance at this one? And of course, I knew that this is not just a technological problem. There's a lot of social angle to it. But I felt that this was a problem worth taking a shot, irrespective of whether we fail at it or not. It was something that we took a shot, and a full-hearted shot. So I came back and discussed with the professor, said that we have to revamp the whole thing, redesign everything, and I'll be able to think about it. So for some time, it was just thinking, understanding the problem in depth. And over the next 9 months, I built a prototype. And that we took it to them. It was a very simple structure, very heavy machine and so on. And I said that, this is something that could work. And that's when we heaved a sigh of relief. Something has happened. So that was limited to that. And then we started getting a lot of awards for it. couple of prototype funding support came in to take it to the further stage. A lot of CSRs came in, and then I and my professor had a discussion that do we want to take it forward or do we just want to keep at it? Because there is a commercial opportunity available. I also had one of my seniors who was working on a different product in the same lab, Ajay, and he was working on this pipeline inspection. And his product also had this commercial viability. So we were discussing whether we want to take it together and create a water sanitation startup, right? That is how the journey of Solina started, right? Post-COVID, where you're still struggling, there was a company registered, but we said whether we want to do it or not. Post-COVID, we said, let's do it. And that's how the entire journey of Solina started. We said that we want to focus on technologies that would solve for India. It would take on problems that are really affecting the masses. So we don't want to do a D2C based product for water sanitation. We want to take on systemic problems that are there. So if you look at any city, essentially there are three systems that affect the water sanitation of a city. It's pipelines, both water, wastewater, as well as septic tanks. So we said any kind of these systems, assets that are there in place will become a technology solution provider to city administration, to industries, to commercial real estates and so on, and we will solve for them. So that's how the Solinas came into being.
Oh, nice. But when we look at it, it does not have a commercial viability. As you said, it's not a D2C product or even a B2B product. So the total available market and other things, when you look at it, it is kind of, limited to whatever the governments can actually say yes to. So before you even went to Shark Tank, you had the first funding done. What was the one thing which convinced your investor to actually invest in this?
So I actually sort of disagree on the way the market is evolving. And honestly, if we go 1 decade or 2 decades back, then it would be a difficult business to build. But today, you have to see the way that policies have changed and the way that privatization has happened. There's a lot of public-private partnerships that are coming into the cities, where a lot of even the entire, so to say, water contracts of a city have been awarded to a private player. For example, in Coimbatore has awarded a 2,400 crores contract to this French company called Suez. And there are 20-30 cities that have done that in India, right? Increasingly, cities are doing that because there is increased accountability, costs are less, and so on. Secondly, as you see the policy change happening, earlier water was really not a precious commodity, right? I remember back in time, I would not think about drinking water from the bottled water. But today it has become such a very, very common need, right? That has a cost. Today, water taxes are there. Today's sanitation tax is there when you are paying this sort of tax for the property. So this is the revenue for the government, and then government has to deliver these services well. If people have started talking about this term called non-revenue water, which was almost non-existent in India about a decade back, but now like sort of everybody is talking about it. There are conferences that are happening in the government. There is key performance indicator that is allocated to the government city engineer, saying that you have to reduce it over a period of time, right? So that makes it a business for us. So the way that our business is, it is categorized into 3 spaces. One is B2G, where we have to directly work with the government. There is no doubt about half of it will come from that. But then there is B2B, where there are large players who work with the government, but we become a small technology provider to them. And we work with them on an actual basis. So that is very good, like L&T, Suez, Veolia, Justco, and so on. And then there is B2B in terms of industries, where we have an industrial and a commercial real estate, where we are able to do their pipeline inspection, sewage cleaning, and so on, where we are able to get a good business built. And we think that that's the segment that we will follow. And increasingly, we will be able to get more and more private players to come in and become customers for us.
That's great. So from there on, you moved into, Shark Tank. Shark Tank was something very novel to us even a year back. And then the first season happened. And then there was a lot of, firecrackers going up and down and all that. You already were funded, and predominantly IIT people, generally we don't go and like to pitch in any places or forums where there is a camera, light bulb action and all that happening, right? I mean, we're all very closed as far as what how we go about with our work. Let our work speak, let's not speak is the kind of motto we generally have. And that was broken by both you and another startup, both of you who went to Shark Tank. So how did you get inspired to actually first apply to Shark Tank?
So very honestly, first year when one of our like sort of very early on angels had asked us to go to Shark Tank, I had said no, because what we realized was Shark Tank is primarily an environment for D2C, right? And it's for consumer products. deep tech would become very difficult to explain in the limited time frame that is there. But then there is this complexity with B2B, B2G based enterprises sales and so on. So, and even we have seen our investments, right? Our investment cycles are quite longer for people to understand the technology and so on. So we had quite kept quiet in the first season. But second season, what we realized was because of the good brand that we had built earlier and the kind of problem that we are working on, a lot of people actually encouraged us to go there. As much as for the investment, but also for the public awareness. And this is something that motivated me in the first place to actually go on Shark Tank also, because we generally say this, that the problems that we are solving are always underground. These pipelines, sewer lines, septic tanks, these are underground. Even the general public is not aware of how these are maintained, what kind of problems happen, what kind of losses we do in water on a yearly basis. For example, if you look at Chennai loses about 585 million liters of water a day.
How?
In various ways, contamination, theft, leakages, and so on. This is the data, official data. And that's about 40 to 50% of the water that gets supplied. Imagine the quantity of water that gets lost in various things, and the revenue is not made on that. For a city that is struggling with drought. But for a general public, they're not aware of it. Right? So it was important for us to bring those issues to the forefront so people recognize that these technologies are important. So that really was our first sort of, because we were also scared. We had a discussion in the team and we said, okay, what if they don't understand? What if they don't get it? It will really be difficult to explain on national television why we were doing what we're doing. But we had this gut feeling ki ek shot to lete hain. What's the maximum that will go wrong? And we had supportive team members also. So for example, a couple of people who had recommended us to go in the first round, we had gotten through recommendation. So first round, people had suggested that this organization come in. So they had reached out and said, okay, do you want to go through the process? And that time we said, okay, we want to go through the process. So that is what we did. And over the entire step of the Shark Tank that we went in, the team of the Shark Tank was also quite supportive of the stuff that we had. That's how we went inside Shark Tank. Yeah.
So what is the process which you're talking about? I mean, the Shark Tank process, how did the entire thing pan until the time you got your check from Piyush?
Sure. So initially, I think once the season gets over, I think they start scouting for startups. There is an initial interest from that comes in where we just have to put the interest. That I think for us was done by somebody else. And that's how we got to the first round. Now in first round, you have to answer some basic questions. Once you're done with that basic question, then there is a detailed questionnaire that comes. So that is the second round. Second round, you have to, I think there were 20 sections that we had to answer. Right, from founding team, founding the individual stories, product, technology, market, business, projections, scaling, each and every aspect is there. So it takes about good amount of time for you to fill the whole setup. And then there is an online discussion if needed, where people get on a call with you and try to understand more about what is there. This is the sort of 3 rounds that are there. The fourth round is the audition. So quite kind of on a short notice, they inform you that there are auditions. Because we were late in the whole process, because we had kind of applied around August or August end. But generally these auditions start right from June or July. So the only last slot that was remaining was in a audition in Bombay. Otherwise they do auditions in Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay and so on. And we just got about 2-3 days of notice. And then we said, okay, let's do it. So we did the auditions and auditions went quite well. So there was some glitch that happened because there was a specific time that was set to us, but we couldn't make it during that time. And then we got the last slot and we had our flight just 45 minutes after we finished the slot. So we had to really request the organizers to do it faster. And they were quite supportive in that angle. And then we rushed to take a flight. If we had been late by 2 minutes, we would have missed that flight back. So that was the situation. So it is really sort of on the go during the auditions, as it happens in a lot of other auditions, and very real from that sense. That was the first time that we got a sense of how auditions work. And then they said that they will inform us later. At every stage in time, everything is confidential. You're not allowed to share anything about the whole thing and so on. And then out of the blue, one day we get a call saying that we would like you to pitch in front of the sharks. And you have to do it in the next 2 weeks. So that's generally the process. Because we had a lot of demo and setup to showcase about, and we wanted to do it well on the national television, we couldn't actually say yes the first time that we got it, because we just didn't have time, and our sort of team was not prepared to make it. So we said that please give us another date where we can do it. And initially it was very difficult for them, but I think somehow they realized that showing this product is also important. So they gave us another date and quite much in advance. And by that time, we were quite prepared to sort of do it well. And then we flew to Bombay, and like for all the co-founders flew there. We took a couple of team members also. There was a 3-day setup where first 2 days is just preparation. So we do the setup ready. We have the script, what we have to speak, the 3 minutes of script that we prepare. That's something that we have to prepare in advance. That's what we do. They ask us a couple of questions, walk us through the whole process, and so on. And third day is the audition, sort of actual pitch. For us, we were actually 1 day before, we were working on our demo and everything till 1:30 in the night. And we were thinking that our pitch will be in the second half because they're making us work till 1:30 in the night. But then they came to us and said that your call time is 6 o'clock in the morning, which means you have to leave the hotel at 6 o'clock, and then the pitch will, you'll be the first one pitching to the Shark. I'm like, wow, what are you making us do? So that was there, but it was fun. One of the things that we realized was the team is very professional, like professional to the T. We had a couple of scratches on one of our bots, and they asked us to repaint the whole thing 1 day before. And they said that before the repaint, that is not going in the TV. So that is something. So they do the preparation really, really well. And I think in the hindsight, I think that I would really want to thank them that they were like so, cautious about each and every step, because it prepares you for a good thing. Because see, it's coming on national TV, right? The value of that is very, very high. It's going to remain there forever. So in that way, the best preparation that you can do really helps. So I think in the hindsight, that was really well. Then we had a call time. We went to pitch. It was our first pitch. And honestly, I think our pitch went much better than what we'd expected because of 2 reasons. One, we were prepared to like sort of have a situation where it just creates an argument where nobody understands the product and so on. And we don't have enough time to explain to them. And 2, we didn't expect so much positivity. So when we went inside the tank, generally the pitch goes on for about 45-50 minutes. That is cut down to about 15. Our pitch went on for about 1 hour 20 minutes because we had 2 technologies that we had to showcase. And the team gave us the freedom to play around with the time and showcase each and every product really, really well. So we did that. And in the whole process, a lot of questions were coming. And the good part was that we had answers to them and we were able to answer, like all 4 of us, we were able to answer them really well. So that impressed them a lot, that the team is quite strong and you're able to do the sort of questions really well. And then even before we finished all the questions, we had the first offer on the table. So what to expect nahi kiya tha. But honestly, we had not expected any people to be invested, sort of show interest in investment, because we knew that the segment that we're working on is difficult. And even for general VCs, they sometimes stay away because it is hardware, B2B, working with the government and so on. So when we got the first offer, we were really sort of excited. And then the second offer came, and then there was like sort of battle happening. I was like, "Acha ja raha hai. This sounds good. This looks good. We are at a good stage." And in addition to that, I think there was so much positivity that was there. Like if you've seen the sort of whole pitch, there is Namita talking about how 4 of us have come from very different backgrounds to build this together. They're talking about how, as an institution, IIT has come in to solve a problem. They're talking about how kind of at a young age we are solving this problem. So it just validates a lot of things that you are doing and gives you confidence also that you are in the right path. So that happened a lot with us during that 1 hour 20 minutes. So we felt very happy. Then we finally chose the offer. There was negotiation and all of that is already there. And and then we came out, and then there were a couple of advertisements that we had to do, which you could again see in the Sony TV. We actually finished our pitch at 10:30. We thought that we ghar jaake soenge, but they kept us till 4:30 in the evening or 5 in the evening because of all the advertisements. And then we were really tired. We just went back to the hotel and slept the whole day.
Nice. And I saw that all the pitches were in Hindi, and this is like, I don't think all of your team people would have been,
Yes.
comfortable with Hindi as a language to pitch, right? I mean, how did you prepare through that, and how did the Shark Tank people actually help you with that process?
So I think the reason they do it in Hindi because the vast majority of the audience that they're trying to showcase is in Hindi. If I'm aware, earlier they were also doing translations in the sort of setup. What they ask you to do is not talk in English, because English-speaking audience in India is quite limited. So they want to do regional. I don't know whether this year they have done regional in terms of Tamil, Kannada, and so on. But I think last year they were doing it. So what happens is they want to do the whole pitch in Hindi, and then they will do some translations later. They're okay with you using a couple of words in English that cannot be translated, but by and large, they want to keep the conversation in Hindi. So Linda was there, who was not very comfortable with Hindi, but I think she managed really well. She was a star during that time. A couple of places she actually sort of fumbled in the beginning, and we were thinking how to do it and all. But when the pitch actually happened, you can see that she nails it. She just like does every word to the right perfection. And she was also surprised that we were struggling a lot in the backseat, but when we went to the final stage, we like did it perfectly. So I think part of the pitch in sort of the script of 3 minutes that is there, that they want to keep in Hindi. In the conversation, you can use a couple of words in English and so on. That's absolutely fine. But I think the reason is that they prepare us with some of the words and everything. They give us the liners. This is what you should use. This is what you should use, and be a bit conscious about that. Other thing that they do is if you are using English for a longer time, then sharks themselves will say कि इसको हिंदी में थोड़ा बता सकते हो क्या? Because they are looking at the audience for that.
Okay. And of all the sharks, I mean, I think there were 4 of them present at that time, right?
Yeah, 5 of them. 5 of them were present.
5, yes, yeah. So what was each one's reaction like, and who was your most favorite shark?
This is a difficult question. I think the reaction from all of them was really good, in that sense that what we saw was, just a minute. Yeah. So the reaction from all of them were very positive. The good part was that even when Aman was there, he said that if you want me to come in, I can come in. But I don't see that I will be able to add a lot of value, but I would want to be associated with the cause. And that itself was a very good thing for us. And of course, we had offers from 2 to people each. So that was really well. I think for each of them, I personally felt that they understood what we were doing. Like Piyush was very much sort of connected with the vision and the kind of problem that we were solving. Anupam liked the team. He understood the business model, working with the government, how we would do cash flows and so on. Amit was very sort of spot on with the unit economics and the way. So I think my favorites would be these 3 in various different forms. In the way that, so for example, I from my side, when I'm building an organization, I want to look at unit economics really strongly. I'm very focused on like how much money is going in, how much money is going out, or what is the kind of gross margin that we're making at each unit, what is my contribution, what is my net, and so on. So when Amit asked us those questions, I really felt good. Even post Shark Tank, I met Amit at a couple of occasions, and we're still talking a bit. And his interest in our organization remains like very good. So that was there. And then, of course, Piyush is very much about the vision and the kind of problem that you're solving. So I think everyone in the team adores him for that. And from overall, I think these would be the 3 people that I would like a lot.
So Piyush was the one who finally signed the check with you guys, right?
Piyush and Anupam came together. So we actually wanted, we would have been happy with any one of them coming in. But they both came in together with 90 lakhs. And we said, okay, that's okay.
And since then, how involved are they with your company? Because they have been investing in a lot of other companies as well. So how much involvement are they able to give for you, and what kind of support are they giving you guys?
So actually, that is one thing that sort of I think a lot of people don't know, is that the whole process itself takes time. It's just like in any investment, once the commitment comes in, there is a lot of work that happens in due diligence. And because they're signing a lot of deals, it will take time. So for us, just 1 month back, the due diligence has completed, and we are waiting for them to give the final go ahead to give the money. That itself has not happened so far. And you can see that it's been about like 5 months that we have done it. So, and for us, we have already done a seed round before, just like 4 months before. So we had most of the documentation ready with us. Tab itna time laga. I think for general people, it takes at least like sort of 4 to 6 months to complete the due diligence. Post then only we get to know how much involved they are in each of these startups. And from my understanding, I think their involvement would really vary depending on the kind of organizations that they are and where they see a lot of value will come in and so on. So I will be able to answer that in the next 3 months probably, once we actually are able to engage them.
So you said that this whole episode was over about an hour and 20 minutes, but then we got to see only 15 minutes of that.
Yes.
So what happened in that other 1 hour, 5 minutes, which are like really nice, juicy bits of things which you can share with us?
Sure. So actually, the whole thing I think is in 15 minutes because they want to showcase that, there is some bit of a drama, there is music and so on. They cut it short. But that 1.5 hours that goes in is really about detailing, because frankly, 12 minutes, 10 minutes is not enough to understand any organization, right? So there is a process through which the whole journey goes on. We have the 3-minute script that we present to them. That is something that we remember. Post and then they introduce ourselves. So they ask questions about us as individual founders, where did we come from, how did we meet, and so on. Then we went to the product. So we talked about each of the product, we explained them. And then uske baad business, unit economics, and all of those questions come in. Now, the key part is that sometimes we don't even know what is going to come up in the TV and what is not. So for example, there were some discussions about the way that government businesses are managed and the cash flow that will be managed. That we did. Unfortunately, they sort of took it out. But they don't tell us what is going to come out or what is not going to come out. So that is really the thing, right? Even if you saw when the trailer came out, the information was mismatched in a way where it showed us that we got a different deal than what it was, right? So in that way, they do this primarily for the TV. But otherwise, overall, I think this is the process that they go through. They ask a lot of questions. There is really a lot of questions, unless most of the sharks are satisfied about the questions that they need to ask. I think what they're trying to do in the model is to get as much details from you about the business as possible. The validation of those details happens later, but they get those information. And that's really the due diligence aspect, where the whole deal is contingent on you sharing correct information with them. So if you share wrong information, the deal doesn't happen. And that's a success rate also. I think the typical success rate, even in US Shark Tank, is about 60% or 55%, where every sort of out of every sort of 10 deals that happen, only 5 or 6 of them get funding and the rest fall through because some information may not match and so on. So that is the thing. There were certain questions about us working together. How did we come in? There were some things about sharks fighting between each other and making comments. I think some of them they have shown in some of the startup conversations as well. In ours one they did not. The other thing that happened with us was we actually took some time to sort of go out of the tank and think about what would happen. We even did a call and so on. So those things were sort of cut short because our product explanation itself took a lot of time. Even there were a lot of comments that came out when we were actually, this is very interesting, when we were doing the Homo Sepka demo, some of them actually felt that this was real shit that we had put in to showcase the whole thing. And then they're like, why are you doing this? Why are you making us see? And then I said that, no, this is just a demo project that we have prepared. So you can absolutely come and have a look at the way that the structure is. So that is something that happened.
And after you got through all those things, when did you get to actually tell your family and friends that you're going to be in Shark Tank? Because I think there is a lot of NDA that you guys go through that you can't reveal until such time, right?
So I think parents knew because unko to bata sakta hai. I think the idea of that NDA is it should not be disclosed publicly. But there are definitely some people who will know. For example, the investors need to know that you're going on Shark Tank. Without their approval, you like really cannot make a decision on your own. The sort of founding team needs to know. Professors that we had discussed very thoroughly whether we want to go or not. Parents, a couple of close friends knew about it. But till the time we got an airing thing, we had not disclosed it publicly at all. Like I had so many friends who were pissed at me for not telling them that we were coming. So like the day that our sort of trailer came out, I got a lot of messages on during the trailer they done on actually on the page, because then everybody is like, why didn't you tell us this? Like we had not publicly announced it till that time, right? Even I got to know, so before the trailer was out, they had just sent a mail 15 days back that your episode may be telecasted during this 10 to 15 days, but Sony doesn't take any responsibility for not telecasting it. So we're thinking, then I got to know from other people that our trailer had come in because the Friday episode was there. And I was actually on calls with one of their teams, the Shark Tank team members, on editing they wanted a couple of edits, voiceovers and so on. So I was on call with them and I was like, why didn't you tell me that the trailer is going to come out today? At least you could have told us in advance, right? And they were like, no, this is our policy, we can't do it. So then after the trailer was out, then I got a call from them saying that on this date and everything, that the episode is going to come out. So I think they maintain a lot of secrecy around that. And only when the trailer was out, I was able to tell everybody ki haan, theek hai, abhi Shark Tank pe aa rahe hum log.
And how was your life after Shark Tank?
So good. I think on an external sphere, online sphere, things were like good in terms of publicity and so on. We had a lot of newspaper articles coming in. I think in the hometown journalism, people and everybody were very excited. In my like sort of area where we live, a lot of people were talking about it. My parents were really happy because whoever saw it, and because it is in Hindi, right? So see, one of the things which is true for my context is that, both the organizations that I've built, we have built in the South. So even though we have been in a lot of news or we have gotten awards, a lot of the coverage has been in English. And my parents don't understand English that much, right? So and that is, I think, true for a lot of people. So when I send them newspaper articles, they would see a photo is there, but they're not able to make what is written in that. So they always ask me, and then I would translate over the phone and so on. But this time, because it was in Hindi and this is a public arena, a lot of people are calling him and saying, "Ye dekho, ye." And then I think just the fact that my parents were very proud that day, I think that made up for everything else. Now, beyond that, the irony that happened was, while there was a lot of buzz in the air online and so on, and there were like a couple of times at the airport people have seen and they're like, "Oh, I think you were on Shark Tank," and so on. In Chennai, nothing has changed to that extent that our trailer keeps on playing in the research path TV a couple of times, like almost every day. And yet there has not been a single person who did not know me earlier and has come to me, shaken hand, saying, "Oh, I saw you on Shark Tank." Zero. That is zero. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing has changed in the offline in Chennai for us.
Yeah, I think Chennai is pretty much, not that much into flocking the celebrity kind of a thing. You're a celebrity outside of Chennai, but still in Chennai, you're like Aam Janta, right?
Yes, and the other thing is something good, but I was, it's just that there was so much hype that I had expected कि कुछ तो होगा, but कुछ नहीं हुआ, ठीक है.
Yeah, you can expect that of even a movie star, going through a road, anything, in a store or something like that, and our guys don't flock. So that was it. And do we have any questions from anybody? Anybody who would want to ask anything to Divanshu about his experiences and all that? Because there are a few things which I'd like to ask him with respect to his asks from our community per se. So anybody, somebody raised your hands. Anybody who would like to ask any question? Okay. All right. So please type in your questions. Yes. Yeah, Pradeep Malik. Rakesh, can you please unmute Pradeep?
Yes, ma'am. I've given him access actually.
All right. Cool. Pradeep, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thanks, Jaipriya, for a very good facilitation of this whole evening. I think you're quite a professional yourself. So, and I want to thank Divanshu for enlightening us and sharing with us the inside story of how Shark Tank came about. I must admit I didn't know anything about this, so it's good learning for me. I want to know how you founded in 2018. It's 5 years now. I think you only graduated in 19, right?
Yes.
So, but how is the company doing? Especially, I'm very interested about this robotic thing about scavenging. For example, just share highlights. What's your order book like? How many? Where are you focusing? You cannot focus all over India.
Sure,
although this scavenging work is all over India in every village and everywhere. So how are you going about that business model of actually on the ground? And how much business are you getting? What's the kind of response? What's the, let's say, there could be a lot of naysayers out there who don't like this whole project. I mean, what's this, as you said, you bring all the high-tech stuff. So how do you overcome that? And what is your own hopes in the next 4 or 5 years? Or are you one of those youngsters who's going to sell out as soon as the valuation is high?
Great. So to answer the first question, even though we registered ourselves in 2018, a couple of years we just took it was just in the product development stage. We took a kind of a hit during 2020 because we were still in the product development stage and we did not have a proper investment come in during that point in time. So we had to redo the whole team. So I think from an inception point of view, I would call it almost 2.0 post-COVID. And so it would be like 2.5, 3 years for us. Now, in terms of the current stage that we are in, we actually both the products are in the market, the pipeline inspection one as well as the scavenging one. In terms of the revenue, we should be able to close at about 4.5 crores of revenue this year. And we are hopefully targeting to be a 100 CR revenue company in the next 3 years that will be there. So that's the way that we want to grow. And in terms of the traction on the field, we have like 4 or 5 states where we are seeing good proactiveness. There is Tamil Nadu, there is Maharashtra, there is Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, UP, Madhya Pradesh. So these are 5, 6 states where we are trying to keep our focus. One is in a southern belt, one is in a northern belt. And so far, we have worked with about 10 cities. Including both the products, 10 to 12 cities we have already worked in. We have gotten good response. One of the strategies that we took was to go top down rather than bottoms up, because in government, as a young organization, if you're going bottoms up, it doesn't really work very well. So very fortunate to get mentors who introduced us to like secretaries, IS officers of various good cities, and they gave us a chance to try out the product and showcase a good case study. One of the very good case study that we have is from our work in Coimbatore, where today any pipeline-led defect that is there gets diagnosed through our solution, and we have gotten an annual contract from them to do it. And the Suez, who is our technology partner there, is now introducing us to multiple other cities within India. And also, we are trying to do something globally with them to have a technology partnership.
That's the Endobot. That's the Endobot.
That's Endobot, yeah. With respect to HomoSep, we have given it in 4 states right now. We have given to a non-profit group in Ahmedabad, in Bihar, in Chhattisgarh, and in Tamil Nadu.
Only one off?
Two units each.
Okay.
And the reason why we have chosen these places is because like I said, it is not just a technological problem, it's a very socially connected problem. What had happened in the initial stages that we had given the product, but nobody was using it. And for that, we suffered about 4 months because we didn't give any feedback. So we identified good non-profits who were working in the sanitation segment and partnered with them as an implementation partner in that place to take it forward. So now we have started getting data around what works in the product, what doesn't work, what do we make to make improvements. And another thing that we did was we partnered with this organization called Viatech Vabag, which is a known player in the sanitation space. And we have given them 2 units on a lease basis to try it out. And we are often getting paid for that, but it is just trying and testing for both of us to understand whether it will be done. And then we can get a big order for that. So this is how the acceptance has been. Fortunate to get another couple of like sort of policy folks also who are invested in the whole work. They know that technology is important. So that is what we are looking at. The idea would be that in these next 3-4 months, we establish a lot of success case studies and showcase all over so that it becomes easier for people to accept. Shark Tank did that for us because, when we were telling that the technology is good and people should use it, nobody cared. But when we came on Shark Tank, people suddenly were like, "Haan, theek hai, technology acha lag raha hai." So that is something that we have seen. In terms of the future plan for us, I am not really like sort of keen on valuations and everything. If I was that, I wouldn't be building a hardware B2B based business. I would have probably gone on to build a software led business. Very much connected to the problem. So I think next 4 or 5 years, I'm looking to be with the setup and grow and make it a sustainable business. Post that, depending on whether I'm skilled enough to take it to the next stage and take it for next 20 years and so on, what my plans are, that could change. But what I have certainty over is the next 3 to 5 years. And that I know that I'm going to build it with the team that we have. I hope that it answers all your questions.
Yes, Divanshu, thank you very much. And my only comment is, I like what you said. I think if you just keep your focus on doing this work with I would say it's something working for a higher cause rather than working for money. The money will follow automatically. Just keep working for this higher cause, noble thoughts as to, so many deaths that we read about happen through these scavengers, poor guys and their families, they lose out. And you've seen it on TV commercials as well. So that's an amazing thing that you're doing, number one. Number two, I think your model that you talked about is by spreading through, I won't call them franchisees, but you're finding local people who can help to take it forward, whatever name you give it, franchisee or whatever. I think that will help to snowball the whole
absolutely
thing rather than you're doing it on your own. So I pray that you keep your focus going, and we'll be in touch. Let me know when it's going to break even.
I think we will be able to sort of product-wise still doing good, but overall we should be able to break even in the next 18 months.
Wonderful. But anyway, that's as I said, incidental. Just keep doing the good work. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pradeep. Which batch and department are you from?
Oh, that's going back a while. 1965.
Oh, wow.
And it's long, long before Divanshu's parents were born, I guess. 1965 and electrical.
Okay, and what have you been doing?
But look, don't digress on this. Is Divanshu's show, not my show.
No, of course not. I just wanted to, get a feel of, because this is IIT Madras Alumni Association's event, and
Yeah.
it makes sense for us to know what has been
Yeah.
what you
I'm happy to
in a
share with
very
you, but I don't want to steal the thunder from
no problem.
Divanshu.
Thank you very much.
It's his evening, his
Sure.
spotlight. What was your question? What was I doing?
What were you doing? Yes. What was your journey?
I've had a kind of chat with Nishani's predecessor. I think her name was
Lata.
Lata. Yeah. So it wasn't a fireside. Yeah, like a interview on the face-to-face on the virtual platform. But anyway, I worked with electrical firms, and my last company was Vatsila, a Finnish company, where I was MD of the company for 15 years. And I'm an executive coach and a mentor to people, to executive leaders, to leadership since the last 20 years since I retired. So I'm one of the lucky ones to be a DAA of the IITM.
Of course.
Oh, very nice.
Of
Good.
course. Thank you so much. This is fantastic. Really, thanks for joining us on this evening.
Got it. Divanshu, if you need to connect with me anytime, you're free to do so.
We'll facilitate the meeting between.
I'm just sending you a LinkedIn request right now.
Okay.
So that's how fast our generation is.
I've already checked you out, and I will be replying yes right now. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Priya. Wonderful meeting you, and very proud of the fact that we have you as the Vice President of IIT MAA. Wonderful.
Thank you very much. So fantastic, Divanshu. And a couple of things which I wanted to bring to the fore before we close out for the day. There are so many of our alums, just like Mr. Pradeep here, so many of our alums who had been in really high positions or are currently serving in really high positions and are on the heads of several NGOs, CSR boards and all that. And we would want to share the news of what your organization is doing and all that, and how, if as a community, IIT Madras Alumni Association would help in facilitating in taking your dream to the next level. So what would be your ask if you were to ask any of them?
I think that's a good question there, because I did not think about it, but the way that it comes to my mind, I think we have gotten a tremendous value from the community already, from the mentors that we've had. And in both my organizations, I think depending on the need that is there, we need a lot of support, especially if I start with Involve first, because it is a sort of philanthropic organization now, and we're working with really poorest of the poor kids. If there are two places that we need really help, one is if people can, whoever are interested in education and who really think that education as a model needs to improve and needs to change, and we need to work with government systems to improve it, they can definitely come to support it, either financially to support the programs, or take us to via various government IAS officers or bureaucrats who are there in the sort of state education, center education, and get us a way there to push that this model is important. Because me, Divanshu, going there is one thing, them going there with us saying that this is important is absolutely another, right? So these are two places where I think people can really help. Financially, either they can come in as an HNI for us, or connect us with their corporates as a part of their CSR funding. We are Section 8 organization. We have very good corporates like Wells Fargo, Capgemini, and a lot of others working with us and supporting us. In terms of Solinas, I think one would be definitely mentorship for our team, because as our team is growing and they have built sort of B2B, B2G led organizations, there it would be really helpful for us. Second would be in advocacy. The kind of problem that we're solving needs a lot of support on the advocacy. To that extent where people know that it's a problem that needs to be solved, but yet they are not giving us the, a pilot opportunity to do it. So if you are in a position where you can influence some IAS officers, municipal commissioners, or state departments, and get us a chance to go there and give us this opportunity, I would be really grateful. We want to do a lot of successful case studies to showcase that the technology is important. To give an example, every kilometer of inspection that we do in water, and we identified leakages, thefts, and so on, we save about 600,000 liters of water every day. That's a huge saving for like sort of any institution or sort of a country. And there is of course, there are a lot of non-tangible benefits. This was one thing tangible that I'm pointing out. If you look at it, a lot of people in our country drink directly from the tap. The major cause of health issues, diarrhea, and everything in the poorest communities is because of the wrong water that they drink. So if the pipelines are maintained well, we can solve for these issues. Manual scavenging, big problem. If you know some non-profits who are doing good work, if you know some corporates who are willing to support this work, who can sort of get machines from us, it will be our responsibility to find non-profits who we can give it to them, and we will do all the work that is required. But you just need to come in and support us with that. And of course, in the last stage would be, if you know any venture capital firm who are investing in water and sanitation, it would be good, because we will be raising our Series A round in the next 9 to 12 months, because we want to grow and at least come to that sustainable model. So I think I've asked a lot. Any place, if you are there and you can support, that would be great.
That will be awesome. I'm sure our people who are watching this online, as well as people who are here, if at all you have anybody who would be able to help Solinas out with any of these requests which he has placed, please reach out to us or him directly. And also, there's a lot of things which you could do in terms of, IIT Madras Alumni Association has one ask from you, Divanshu. We want you to be, involved with the student community. Also, you already are aligned in that way by having peer networking and a lot of other programs which you have done in the campus in supporting people who are outside the campus. But this is now time for you to give back to the campus.
Absolutely.
Do come walk in, do talk to the students in our campus, and help students out who you feel are at risk and would actually benefit from having just a chat in maybe their native tongue or stuff like that. That will actually go a long way in getting them to the next level, and for you to have that feeling that you have given back to the alma mater. And we are also
suggestions on those items as well that we will discuss with the IIT Ma.
Yes, of course. And also all of you who are here in the call, and also whoever is seeing this, please reach out to us to see how you can actually participate in our mentoring and volunteering programs. And we're also proud of you, Divanshu. We wish you the best to take both Solinas and Involve to the next level. And whatever support you require, I'm hoping that you would get it from our alumni network itself. And that is the kind of commitment which our people have towards one another. And I really wish that you would have met Vinita Singh while you were there. I think she was not available at that time.
Yes. But I met Vinita earlier when she had come. So very good, very good introduction.
Yeah, she's 2005 batch for IIT Madras. So I think that is the kind of a community support that we offer to all our alums and also to the students who are here. Thank you very much again for being a part of this program. And thanks to all of you who have, taken time to stay on a Sunday evening. I know you all would have a lot of things to do, but then you all chose to be here with us. And for that, I thank you. And thanks to the team at IIT Madras Alumni Association for having facilitated this, and whoever, came together to make whatever crazy ideas I throw to them into a reality. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shani. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. I request, it was a great session. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and especially the questions as well. Request Maha to give the word of thanks. Thank you. Maha, you're on mute.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Nishani. Thank you, Divanshu, for taking the time to share your journey and experience from Shark Tank with us. It was highly, valuable for us. Your insights have been truly inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you once again. Yes. Thank you, JP, for taking your time and your contributions, continuous support to our IIT Ma. Your insightful questions kept the sessions very engaging. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And I hope everyone found this fireside chat very informative and engaging. And thank you everyone again for joining this event.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Good night. Have a great day.
Have a great day, all of you. Bye.